Round 12 results. We are moving in the right direction. Now, how do we get into the triple digit club? We got very, very close. A few weeks ago now, we went into the top 3,000, into 2,000, but that came back from 1339 in round 7 into 1205 in round 8. There we go. And then all the way into 1333. So my second best rank of the year so far. And we got to push towards that triple digit club. Now we are using a lot of trades, and that's going to be a big focus of this video is how we get through this period when we're looking at my strategy and my setup for the whole buy period. And a little bit different this year as well, considering the buy period starts that one round earlier. It also finishes that one round earlier as well. So when we get to round 20, when the extra trades come in, that 8 that we definitely need. It's that one extra week that we have to get through before we receive that extra allotment of trades. So that's also something to take note when you are looking at where you're at personally. I'm down to 12 now, which is a little bit concerning. We got 20 basically in total now for a lot of rounds. We've got 12 done with 15 remaining with 20 trades left. So they are very important, and this week feels like probably a bigger trade week and maybe a more important trade week because you are setting up for the next portion of the buy period. With round 12 out of the way, we have a lot of players that are a little less relevant now. We've got a few of them a few teams in Warriors being one of them that has played now round 12, but they missed 15 and 18. Raiders become a little less important, but they still play round 18 and miss 19 instead, which is, I'd say, probably going to be the easiest one to cover, given by that stage there are a lot of teams that have gone through all of their buys, or at least 2 out of 3 with one later, and you can really have a bit more of a smorgasbord of players to purchase. Whereas this week, we spoke about on last night's video with Nikki. Jump on and check that one out. I think it's been taken up a little bit more than last week, which is awesome. Does help the game was finished a little bit earlier than last week's 8 p.m. or whatever it was finished there as well. But check that one out. We did mention there's a selection of players to go through. Those Rabbitohs that we've mentioned there with Aitken and Okolomatangi. We've got guys like JC. You've got Drinkwater down in wing fullback. The odd Dragon that you can look at with Dylan Egan gone, with Couchman out. Maybe it's Hamish Stewart. These types of guys. But there isn't a lot of clear options that are super helpful for the next period. With Cowboys, they don't have any buys until round 27 now. And you've got a few of those teams that have got that round 12 out of the way. Following this week, we're going to have a few teams there in the Dogs, in the Sharkies and the Dolphins that have got their round 13 one out of the way. They become more important, with Doggies missing 16 as well, and the other 2 teams missing 18. So these are little things that you need to have a look at, and which of those players that there's options this week, and I think they're really great options. Next week, are there guys from those teams that you really want to get in your side? Maybe from the Dolphins, it's an Isaiah Katoa or a Herbie. They become a bit more important, and players you might want to look at. For the Sharks, there maybe you are looking at a McInnes. You could be looking at Nico Hines or AFB. Although apparently been seen, who knows? Reportedly, could be a photo from a long time ago. Who knows? But in a sling at dinner post game. So hopefully that he's all okay there. NRL Physio just posted that in his broadcast channel as well. He goes, "I've just been sent this." He popped it in there. He goes, "Not sure of the validity, but it's a little bit of a worry." The good thing is they have a bye this week, and hopefully it's just a bit of a precaution thing. But usually slings aren't used for that. So now that's when I look at my team, and the reason I'm having to think a little bit more ahead and into the players and the setups that I want is because of the lack of trades that I have. Our people squad, they're actually sitting in a much better spot, which is the private group squad guys, sitting there with 17 trades, so 5 extra trades compared to my side. And it's a side where you can be a little bit more aggressive and think a little bit more week to week, rather than having to think of the exact guys you want for an entire period of time. You can look at sort of 2 to 3 week windows there and trade accordingly. But what it does seem like is the people are pretty conservative. Maybe they really want to save trades in their own team and they can't actually do it, but they can happily offer hold trades or potentially sell. Sorry, hold trades or potentially just one trade in that people's crew, which did end up with an 801. My team ended up in 807, so pretty good week for the squads there. And again, guys, are like, how can you have two teams? This is a collective team, not my team, guys. Just be aware of that. But yeah, a really good effort there into 5,048, and I'm at 1333, which is a fun little number with plenty of cash in the bank. And I should have just unfortunately held on to not trading Garrick in. He's out of 580k now, which is pretty crazy, and just rolled with Savala there, which would have netted me an extra 19 points and not an extra trade. But looking into this week, probably looking to improve upon the wing fullback in some capacity. We may have injuries in Origin. I've got Cleary sitting in there. I've got Payne Haas as my only two Origin guys, which I think is a pretty good spot, especially with the lack of trades that I have to get through this period. Like if you have a host of Origin guys that are going to miss 12, 15, 18, potentially some backup weeks as well, you usually use a few more trades to be able to cover those weeks. Or you need that. You eventually trade one of the Origin guys out. Like, if Payne Haas doesn't back up, then maybe he is someone that gets moved on. But if you have 3 or 4, maybe use a trade or two to trade one of those out, or you're trading the fringe guys or the mid-range players that are doing a job and have been solid. You might be trading them to try and get a full squad on the park. Now, my squad overall, really happy with where Riley Smith is at 499k. We've got guys like Siwa Wong and Hosking very close to the 600k mark, which both are unfortunately just doing okay. Hosking 53 into a 37. Someone said they saw him hobbling. I did see him up on the bench when they won. He was pretty excited for the win, so I'm not sure if we saw any injuries or any issues there, but that was him. And yeah, Edge is an interesting one. We've got Preston coming back in round 15, so he becomes a very, very clear option come that week as well. So yeah, another player to have a look at post thereby. Does miss 16, but that's a week that you can usually fairly well cover. But in terms of, that's moving forward, what I mucked around with getting guys that were out this week onto the bench there, which we'll go through in a sec. But yeah, Hines is 45. I didn't manage to get his line break. I thought that was clear as day. Don't know why they didn't pay that one. I did send an email about that. And Tamale as well. They did end up giving him his line break this morning, which was nice. Yeah, I don't know how beating 7 players in a straight line and running an extra 20 meters, and then the guys that are struggling behind at the 40-meter line after a bomb kick didn't count as a line break, but they got it. Heinze, though, to go straight through the line, and then the guys from the inside, he runs 10 meters afterwards, and then they come and tackle him, and apparently that's not a line break. That one hurt a little bit, but we move on. I had Sharp, I had Lucas. That was the win there. Farnworth 55 with the leg infection was a really nice score there. Just the Garrick one was the only real frustrating score, with Hosking being very highly owned, and most people played him. Just a bit of a frustrating score. Yongi was 64 was awesome, and he goes up plenty of cash as well. Tamale kind of holding strong where he's at 512, and Garrick is getting cheaper there. On the bench, I did loop Tavanga with mid. Just the reason I did that one, guys, I didn't have any other mids, but it was more a safety thing, and you can do the same this week. Whoever plays early on, you can just pop them in a bench spot, and if Tavanga came out and got a head knock, or he got 20 or 15 or whatever, I could have brought in a mid this week for Fahu wide or something like that. So those are little things you can muck around with this week to be able to do that. Be aware though, that you it's a lot. It's pretty messy on your bench, but you only get 4 auto emergencies. So one of the guys in our private crew, he kept mentioning there, about how all these loopers, and he had so many players on the bench there. But I just sent him the screenshot of just go into the rules, guys, and check things. If you're not sure, go and check things. But you can only have up to 4 auto emergencies each week. So he had 5 set up, and it was getting near the final games, and he was going to loop again. And I sent him that and went, and so yeah, I think he changed it, and ended up just playing whoever it was straight up, rather than being a chance of losing them. So just be aware of that, especially in this week where you may have 18 or 19 available and you're looking to loop a lot. You can only get 4. So That was that one. But I looped Tavanga, Sharp, and then Katonga with 56. So that was great. Left out Wong, unfortunately, 10 points extra would have been good. And then Savala as well, 53 instead of, as I brought in Garrick, which meant I could loop Sharp and then decide to not play Savala, which turned out not to be the perfect play. And the question this week's going to be, are you confident enough to play him in your halves? Because it could end up that way for me. I've moved a few players around here with May coming back in, slapping the captaincy on him. Good to have you back, big fella. Right now, Sharp's been moved into the half spot and leaving Tamale, Yongi, and Garrick, but it does feel very weak down there. And this is all pre-trades, guys, so I'm still got to work out what's going to happen there. I think I'll be waiting until Origin. The good thing with that is, guys, we've got all the way until Friday at 8 p.m. Why don't they just have it at 6 or 7? Why do you have to have it at 8? I don't understand. For one game, just move it forward. Especially when 10 p.m. in New Zealand, they've got to watch that game, which is rough. So anyway, we've got a lot of time this week. We'll do a post-Origin wrap-up with injuries and all that kind of stuff as well, minutes played and expectations on backups. But most clubs are pretty good around that as well, so that'll be helpful there. So we'll be deciding on guys like Payne Haas post-Origin. Personally, Cleary I very much want to hold. I think half is tough, and I do hope he backs up following Origin there. So that position's a bit interesting for me, the half one, and also the wing fullback. And now guys like Kolomatangi, guys like Aiken, they're all going to be really important this week. And that's where this question comes up around middles, around hooker as well. Do I play, Ian Clark? That's a basketballer, Jamie. Aaron Clark in hooker, when I also have Tavanga and Riley Smith as well. And this is where some looping comes into it as well. Now, for that position, I do have to wait a while. That Manly play midweek on the Saturday at 7:30. We've got the Warriors game following that, and then the Eels are after that. So, we could do some looping there. No, actually, we can't do looping in hooker. We can loop a little bit in mid. Roosters play pretty late. Widnafahu White, so that'd be helpful. Toby Couchman plays first, so to be fair, I could put like Couch in the starting side and loop that way, but I haven't looked too far into it, guys. With that one, similar situation with looping our Knights, so they play first, like Fletcher Sharp could sit out, and we can have Hines plugging that half position, and we can potentially do some deciding in. Could we do wing fullback? No, I don't have anyone buying wing fullback. Of course I don't. So it would just be a half decision with Sharp, and the reason you do loops like that, guys, is more of a safety thing rather than, more than anything. These guys could get injured or concussed in the first 5-10 minutes and they get a low score. And if you've just played them straight up when you don't have to, then that's why you do something like that. We looped him on the weekend, not expecting him to score poorly, but it's more a safety thing. And if he came out and get 30 or 35, which we know, he got the week 31 the week before, that you can play Savala then, which worked out really well with a 53 if that's the way that it panned out. Obviously wasn't, but that's a thought to have. So half and wing fullback are the two that I've got to think of. My centre position's really strong with Kartonga doing really good, up to 535k, and we've got Lucas in there at 748, 84 last week, incredible. And then Farnworth as well. So that position's great. Edge, we're going to make some moves this week, whether it's Aiken or Kolomatangi. And I think making that decision around mid and edge as to where to play guys as well. Now, Kolomatangi, I think if he's coming in, he's going to slot pretty comfortably in the edge spot. And look, we're not super excited about Wong and Hosking. So if we were to be buying Aitken and Kolomatangi, I think pretty comfortably they're going to sit in that edge spot, and we might do some looping there, or we wait and see how one of these guys go and go from there. But the only thing is, both of those guys, Wong and Hosking, play really late in the week, and so it's going to be harder to do some looping around those positions when guys like Couchman lock out, and then you've got my other edge there, Nafahu White. He's going to lock out as well. So you're going to have to kind of just make moves straight up and trust them. The other thing there is, if Payne Haas gets sold, then we don't have that worry in the mid spot. And do we just play Clark in hooker and, Tavanga went 80 minutes. Is he going to do that again? Probably not. Riley Smith, he's scored 3 50s out of the last 4. But if we're bringing in Colo, do you just play him in mid? Do you trust like a Wong or a Hosking over Riley Smith? Riley's killing it at the moment. And Tavanga as well, both doing really well. So round 13, a lot of questions come up as to how you're going to play it. And where you guys at in the comments too? Is there a certain position? Let me know the position you are wanting to upgrade or you are struggling a bit with, and it's a bit hit and miss week to week. Like for me, as I said, it's half and it's wing fullback, especially this week, and it will improve over the next few. But the questions do lie this week, and there's lots to play out. We've got team lists to come out. We've got Origin and results from that, and there could be long-term injuries. It could be suspensions. There's different things that happen there. Apparently, you can get suspended from 19th and 20th man in a suit, Mr. Olakwatu from last year. So, yeah, plenty to play out with that. And I did have plans personally to go Haas, Yongi. Yeah, if Haas doesn't back up, Yongi and Savala to go up. Thankfully, Savala had big price rise along with Yongi. The plan was those 3 guys to move to some of the Colos and Aikens and the like, and that would give me enough cash, definitely. Well, definitely now that they both went up, but don't think I really want to trade Savala and Yongi this week. Like they're both sitting in a position where cash wise they should go up again, and Yongi does come up against Penrith, but they're not playing great. Unfortunately, a break even of 30 post good games there, which is tough considering he had the 23, so there's rolling off those couple together, and he's priced up a bit. But if he goes another 50, then he makes some good cash. With Savala, he's had a lower game the week before, but his break even's a lot lower, so I'm very surprised at that one there. So how does that work? 50, 27, 53, and his break even's 8, and then Yongi, obviously Savala's got a couple of 50s in a row back there. Yeah, Yongi's got 53, 23, 64. A couple of, decent 30s before that, and the break-even's 30. I'm not sure how that works, but we'll roll with it. So yeah, so that's my side this week. Strategy-wise, we are going to wait till Origin, and I will come back with that trades video at the end of the week and go through that. And shout out to the bloke in the comments that said that my trades video was clickbait when I was talking through my trades for the week. I wasn't locked in on my trades. It was between 4 guys. Tavanga, AFB, do I spend less cash? Went Tavanga, it was Garrick or Teddy. So I chose right in the mids. I didn't choose right in the wing fullbacks. But yeah, apparently it was clickbait that I wasn't telling him my exact trades. I said I'd given an idea to the private group. I wasn't locked in until a little bit later. So sorry for providing you with a lovely free video for that one. But yes. Alas, that was fun. All right, how far back are we? We're still 500 points back. I think we end up with the exact same score from first. 807. And shout out to Thames, he's having a cracker season. Our boys, Jakey and Andrew, 6th and 9th this now, which is still really, really good. And what I've actually noticed, we've got 6th and 9th overall, and then we've got Nigel in there in 25th, and we've got Jeremy, who did come on the channel the other week. He's 11,496, and he's actually 100 points behind 9th, basically sitting in 31st. So there is a little bit of a gap right now brewing between 10th and between 30th. So yeah, congrats to everyone that's right up here. It's going to be harder to catch up to you guys now. But Ten's doing a really, really good job. He's pushed out a 52-point lead over Sam in second place, who did move up with an 820, and we did see August go down to 3rd there, and then Kyle with a nice 818, Jonathan a 772, and then Jakey just dropped off a little bit with a 767. So not terrible, but yeah, just a couple of guys that missed in Halasima and AFB there in Hines, and does have Fletcher Sharp and Lucas, but just not having Yongi, those types of winning scores this week were very helpful, and just a couple of those slightly lower ones. So it wasn't a big, crazy difference of a week, but yeah, it's where I noticed that top 10 compared to the 30 and the 50 is has made a bit of a change. Now, squad values, I'm at 14.078, very close to Thames, but Sam's in there at 14.54, which is going to be very helpful, I think, just to continue, popping out really, really good teams and really, really good scores there. And then, what do we got? Andrew's at 14.35, so doing a great job. We've got Jake there at 14.267, so right in the center. So like me sitting in that spot there, a lot of it is decision making right now. Like the trades are building squad value, which is great. Now we just we need to keep pushing in the right direction, which I think we can. It's just, are we going to get that little bit of luck rather than getting to 1,200, pushing out to 3,000 again, whatever it was, and then building back there. Now we did win our private head-to-head, which was good, into 5th now. So improving, let's say that. Gargarov, how good is that for points differential? 807 to 352. Come on, lads. I know you put pride in this group, but one of your members got 352, which means they're not playing apparently. Mitchy boy, 751. He'll get on and chat with Matty T tonight, so I'm excited to hear from the boys there, which is good. How did they end up with round 12? All right, Scoop 792 for him. Good little score. Nath there still sitting in a good spot. Each to 747. Both her and Mitchy boy, no Fletcher Sharp, which was a tough one there. And then Matty T with a 742. So seems like if you're anywhere near the 750, it was fine this week without being great, obviously. But anything lower than that, you did lose a decent amount of ranks, and anything higher than 800, you moved forward really well. Now, we do need to look at, we've got private group, 76 I am, 1300th, and I'm 76. It's crazy. I have to scroll so long to get to top 10K, so congrats to the private crew doing awesome work there. But Jeremy in 31st, we've got 11 people in the top 100. So Danny's in at 38th, Hayden at 40th, Dean at 58th, John at 68th there, Chris at 81, doing great work. Jackson at 86. We've got Sam and Jamie in there at 94 and 96. So very, very impressive with Les not far behind outside of it at 112. So squad's working really, really well. Very proud of everyone in here, and we are going to get the winner. It's going to happen. Last year we had 8th and 9th. This year we're gonna beat that. We're gonna have 1st and 4th. Don't know who's going to do it out of the all of this top crew, and I imagine it'll probably come from someone in this top 100 section where it's almost it's like 175 spread right now in the top 100 there. 11,607 for Jake in at 6, and 11,433 for Jamie in there at 96. So 176 is the spread, which is pretty solid. I think that's where the winner comes from, somewhere in that top 100, just because it is spreading out a little bit. And now we will have to shout out our boy Brody, who hasn't clicked into the private group code yet, and I think he's sitting. Oh, how good's AFG? Cause he absolutely crushes every year, the big fella. But Brody sitting at 75th and hasn't. Hopefully next week he'll pop up on the private group leaderboard, given he didn't put the code in yet. So there you go. That's the crew there. August in line to get into the private group next year, which is exciting. And who else we got? Lucas, so we don't know. Shane, Sam, all in a good spot to push into the top of that leaderboard. Tipping 0 out of 5 this week. That was incredible. Incredibly happy about that one. That was great. What else we got? Our podcast. Didn't go through the podcast crew. Now, I think Geordie's into 13th. Crazy. What do you got? 796. So, moved slightly forward. We got Nick in a good spot there in 166. Austin up at 537. Can he hold on? No, we had this. Seems to start really well, guys. So, follow Austin's tips early, and hopefully my tips, later on, because I think last year he started similar to this, and I came back over the top. So, Austin, if you're watching this, keep it going. Come on, don't let me catch up, but we're both up the leaderboard. You can't fall off this year, brother. We got Jake in there. He continues to move forward there, which is good. I think he was well behind me, 12, 15,000. Had a few weeks in a row just crush. We got Cookie, 847. Josh, we got Scoop in there just ahead of us there, 1274, and 5 points ahead now, tied with Longy at 1277. And then, so 60 60 ranks between 5 points. So it is getting a little bit further and further apart, which is fun. But yeah, the battle of this top 10, it looks like, yeah, there's a 51 point gap between 10th and 11th there for Monty and Prue. So I think the battle is up top here. But there are the two guys in Jordan and Nick really clear on top. So it's going to be a really, really tough battle to make that top couple this year. I'm in with a fight. We're going to push hard and hopefully hold some trades over the next little period eventually. Mitchy down there in the middle. We got Jessup in at 23. Guys down here, I implore you, use some trades. Use some trades, guys. Please. Launch, catch up. It does get very difficult. That's what I find, that strategy of pushing hard with trades until you get a really good side, and then you can coast a little bit through this period and just trade for injuries seems like the best play. And most people up here, they have been pushing trades hard and it's working great. Can the guys below us work really hard over the next period and the late part of the season to fly over the top? Yeah, it remains to be seen. We'll find out. But I'm excited to see. Hopefully we can hold on up top and can continue doing well. But how crazy is the average? 933 is my average there. 963 for Jordan. It's a pretty high scoring year. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see if it continues with that. And we'll leave the results there, guys. Big week of videos, as always, and podcasts. Make sure you do check out the podcast. We've got TikTok, Fantasy Jamie, along with Instagram. So they're both growing a little bit as well. I'm putting some good stuff on there, I think. Anyway, we're growing that. So would appreciate that if you go and follow along. Love to see, if possible, you could rate the podcast for me. That gets it out there a little bit more and continue to like the videos and subscribe if you are new. There are plenty of people that come and watch that aren't subscribed. So get around that. And a big thanks to everyone for being here. We'll catch you in the next video.